All right, let's jump right into this explainer, because today we are looking at a massive, literally world-altering technological shift. Now, if you've been anywhere near social media recently, you've probably caught those viral live streams from a company called Figure AI. They showed off these three humanoid robots, Bob, Frank, and Gary, just working flawlessly. They're in a warehouse, sorting packages and around the clock at the exact same speed as humans, and obviously doing it without ever needing a coffee break. And here's the thing. This isn't some CGI concept video or a sci-fi movie trailer. This is happening right now. And as it turns out, it's signaling a monumental change in how our entire global economy operates.
Okay, let's dive into this, because what we're witnessing right now is the exact same kind of massive inflection point as June 29th, 2007, right? The day the original iPhone launched. Before that day, cell phones were just basic tools, but after, they completely disrupted the digital world and unlocked a $4 trillion market. But the disruption we're facing today with humanoids, it is completely leaping out of our screens and straight into the physical world.
$40 trillion. I mean, just let that massive number sink in for a second. That is the total annual value of human physical labor on this planet. We're talking about every package shipped, every patient lifted in a hospital, every single car bolted together. Literally every dollar paid to a human being for just moving their hands and feet through space. This is without a doubt the single biggest addressable market in the history of the world.
So to really understand this shift, we're going to logically unpack the underlying economics and the tech step by step. We'll cover the new iPhone moment, the three converging tech curves making this possible, how robots are filling the demographic void, the impending middle wave threat, the crazy political optics, and finally, how you can actually adapt.
Starting with number one, the new iPhone moment, or how we went from science projects to reality. Because for the longest time, let's be honest, humanoid robotics was basically a multi-million-dollar punchline. We've all seen those funny blooper videos of early prototypes just tumbling over a box or struggling to walk up a tiny flight of stairs.
But there is a stark, undeniable contrast between that past and our present. We used to have things like Honda's Asimo or those really expensive Boston Dynamics rigs, and sure, they were incredible feats of engineering, but they were clunky and they cost millions per unit. Today, we have Figure AI's Bob, Frank, and Gary. Much like how the iPhone's hardware and software finally merged into a highly usable product back in 2007, today's robotic hardware and AI software have completely converged. They can now do continuous autonomous work at human parity, and they're actually shipping to real factory floors as we speak.
Moving to section 2, the three converging technology curves. Now, you might be wondering, okay, but why now? How do we go from tumbling science fair projects to working humanoids seemingly overnight? Well, it's because three specific, massive technology S-curves are hitting their absolute peak at the exact same time.
These three invisible drivers are the brain, which is powered by next-gen AI models, the data, made up of just massive real-world and synthetic training sets, and the body, which now relies on incredibly cheap, mass-produced actuators. These are the three pillars that have dragged humanoids out of the sci-fi realm and dropped them directly into real-world factories.
Let's break down the brain first, because this is fascinating. This is what's called a VLA model, Vision, Language, Action. It's basically a single neural network that translates raw camera pixels and natural language directly into continuous motor commands, meaning there are absolutely no hard-coded scripts anymore. There's no programmer sitting there typing out, if the object is red, close gripper at 30% force. Actually, scratch that. There's no code like that at all. It's just an artificial brain that sees its environment and acts. It's trained on massive data sets from heavy hitters like Tesla and NVIDIA. It just takes the pixels in and dynamically pushes the motor commands out.
And this perfectly illustrates the crazy hardware crash making the body possible. An actuator is essentially the motor and gearbox at every single joint. Think of your elbows, knees, and hips. Back in 2020, a single low-volume actuator cost upwards of $5,000. But by 2026, it's plummeting to between $500 and $2,000. And at true mass scale, Tesla is targeting around $100. Why? Because the massive Chinese electric vehicle supply chain has completely commoditized these precision motors. Thanks to this crash in costs, companies like Unitree are selling full humanoids for around $13,500 today. That is literally the price of a used Honda Civic. Section 3. Filling the demographic void. The jobs we simply don't want. Now, the common sci-fi narrative we always hear is that these robots, which, by the way, are currently deployed at places like BMW and Amazon, are showing up to steal our jobs. But the reality on the ground is actually the exact opposite. They aren't stealing jobs. They are filling terrible, back-breaking vacancies that humans actively refuse to do. Just look at this. The turnover rate for Amazon warehouses is an astonishing 124%, while non-Amazon warehouses sit at an incredibly high 72%. Humans are actively fleeing these roles, and honestly, you can't blame them. People quite rationally do not want to spend their lives doing 11-hour overnight shifts pulling cardboard boxes off a conveyor belt. So for a business owner, deploying a robot that can work 24/7 without ever quitting, that's the ultimate no-brainer.
And this shortage goes way beyond just the warehouse. The U.S. trucking industry is currently short 82,000 drivers. Japan is projecting a massive shortage of 570,000 elder care workers by 2040. Over in Germany, there are currently more workers retiring than entering the labor force. The data here is crystal clear. We are facing a global demographic collapse. These robots are arriving at the exact moment the global workforce is rapidly shrinking, basically stepping in just to keep the lights on.
Which brings us to Section 4, the middle wave threat. And what happens next? Because while this first wave of robots is quietly filling voids and doing the jobs we despise, the second wave presents a legitimate, systemic threat to the broader labor market. So what does this all mean? The absolute crucial question we have to ask ourselves right now is, what happens when robots want the jobs we actually like? Consider for a moment the impending reality of robots hitting fast food prep, retail floors, and light manufacturing by roughly 2030. These aren't jobs with 120% turnover. These are steady roles people rely on to feed their families and pay their rent.
And the stark reality of this middle wave threat is massive. We are talking about 7 million material movers, 2 million assemblers, 2 million generators. That is well over 10 million US jobs that are directly automatable. If this technology scales inside a narrow, say, 5-year window, the middle 60% of the workforce who physically move items could face rapid, unprecedented displacement.
Section 5. Optics, Politics, and Regulation. The visible disruption. This is exactly where the political shockwave is going to hit. You see, humanoids are not just isolated metal machines. They are the highly visible physical face of an unstoppable, vertically stacked flywheel of AI models, massive battery production, and huge data centers.
So the crucial point here is drawing a really sharp contrast to the iPhone era. When the smartphone disrupted the world, it was largely invisible, scattered, and indirect. If a travel agent or a map publisher lost their job to the internet, it happened quietly, right behind a computer screen. But humanoid disruption, it is highly visible, direct, and incredibly literal. A physical robot working a shift at your local grocery store instead of a person is a massive visual spectacle.
I mean, just imagine scrolling your feed and seeing this headline, "Viral, local worker replaced by humanoid robot at neighborhood superstore." It is incredibly easy to see how a video clip of a humanoid working at a big box retailer will go completely viral on TikTok. The media will absolutely catalyze public freakouts long before the true long-term economic data even has a chance to settle. The optics are going to entirely overshadow the economics.
And because of these highly visible optics, we can expect a swift, sweeping political reaction across the board. We're likely to see immediate regulatory backlash, including bans, restrictions, and hefty tariffs on imported humanoid components. There will be intense political lobbying resulting in carve-outs to protect unionized industries. We're looking at fierce city versus city and state versus state battles over who even allows what kind of robot deployments. Ultimately, the regions that manage to balance these regulations impartially will be the ones that capture the multi-trillion-dollar productivity gains.
Finally, Section 6. Adapting to the AI age. Where you fit in. This is the most vital part of our explainer today because it's directly about you and your future. We are collectively navigating the most consequential decade of labor market change since the early 1900s. You absolutely need a strategy.
As you can see, the economic pie is going to slice up in a very specific way. The top 20% will see massive capital returns just by deploying and investing in this AI and robotics flywheel. Interestingly, the bottom 20% will actually benefit from a massive abundance of much cheaper goods and services produced by automated labor. But that middle 60%, that is the crush zone. The middle absolutely must position themselves correctly right now to avoid competing directly against physical and digital AI.
And that leaves us with a really powerful realization. The only way to truly position yourself on the winning side is by adopting AI just like the world adopted electricity. Learning to build alongside these systems, to direct them, and use them to amplify your own unique human talents, that is the ultimate key to surviving and thriving in this completely new era.
So,
I'm going to leave you with one final provocative question to ponder. In 10 years, will you be crushed by the AI transition, or will you be the one directing the robots? It's a choice we all have to make right now. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep learning, and I'll see you next time.